decided to jump on live really quick. I got an idea to do something called Faith Fridays. And I wanted to do this because faith is something that I used to struggle with. I've always believed in God and I thought I was trusting Him, but I had to go through a series of life experience to really grasp faith. And faith is so critical because without faith, it's impossible to please God. And it is through our faith that we get what we need from God. So um, I wanted to talk about faith, Faith Fridays, and share a little bit of my journey to faith because it's almost like if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And faith unlocks everything. I think there's a saying that says prayer is the key, but faith unlocks the door. And in the last week, both of my parents have gone into the hospital, and my mom was discharged with the understanding that I would take care of her with home care because I did not want her there with the COVID 19. And she was in a confused state and she would not know where we were. So I was sitting there talking to my mom, and she goes, yeah, everybody can depend on Val. And I said to myself, yeah, everybody can depend on Val, but Val needs a Val. And then something spoke inside of me and said, no, you don't need a Val. You need more faith. And I thought about that. Yeah, but I'm typically that person who plans everything. And I began to reflect over my life, and I always have a backup plan. So I'll plan something, and if that doesn't work, I'll do this. If that doesn't work, I'll do this. There's always a backup plan. And you know what happened to me? I always end up resorting to one of my backup plans. I would never get exactly what I want. I would always have to settle for the next best thing, and like my mom said, everybody could depend on Val. So I'm working with everybody else, right? I'm helping everybody else get what they want, but I could never quite get there for myself. And I was getting frustrated and I was getting tired. And again, I'm thinking, well, why don't I have a plan B? Um, and I was wondering, okay, what is happening? I need support. And that's when God really helped me to understand, no, you're undercutting yourself because of a lack of faith. And it became so crystal clear. And I thought about that because consider this. If you have something that you really want, it is your heart's desire, and you're planning for that. You're trying to achieve that goal. But you take away energy from that thing to put it into your backup plan just in case what I want doesn't work out. And I thought about an eagle. When eagles stir the nest and the birds fly, the eagles fly off that cliff. There is no just if this doesn't work out, you're no longer there. And that's the kind of faith that we have to have in God. And it was not until I started to exercise that kind of faith, and I have the testimony of going through a period in my life where God had to take me through a daily bread experience. Because I was those one of those people who I'm not taking the first step until I get to a point where I did not know what was going to happen the next. He carried me through all of that, and he had to show me you're not in control. Your plan is not it. You cannot control what happens to you or around you. And I had to let it go. And I had to give it to God. And he taught me how to really have faith. And especially this pandemic and everything that has been happening all around me, death, sickness, family issues, all of those things, God has just sustained me. And have you ever looked back over your life or over a period of your life and you can't even understand how you got through? Like, if people ask me, how did you do it? I don't know. How did you make it through? I don't know. I do know. I know that it was God. But if you ask me exactly the process, the step by step, I don't know where it came from in terms of a natural sense. All I can say is that it was God. And here's the thing about faith: once you once you channel the faith, you move from faith to faith. That's what I learned watching Pastor Bill from faith to faith. It increases your faith. Every time God moves for you, you become more fearless and you step out a little bit further. and people are looking at you like, what is wrong with you? And this doesn't make sense. And there's another song I like by Donald Lawrence. He said, for the rest of my life, I'm not making sense. I'm making faith. Faith does not make. You wouldn't need God. We cannot try to reduce God down into our finite minds. God is infinite. He's omniscient. He knows things. He knows the future. He knows what's going to happen. He understands why what has happened already. He is timeless. He is everything. And we can't try to step out into God. One of my friends, we were teenagers, and we came up in church together. I'll never forget this. Her first sermon, or sermonette at one of our state meetings was, you be you and let God be God. And that had to be 30 years ago. And I never forget that I was about 12, she was about 16, and we were with Bishop Ford, and he allowed her the opportunity to do that sermon there. And I was rooting for her because that was my friend, and she was on stage, and she brought that word, and I've never forgotten that word after all these years. You be you and let God be God. And I thought about faith. And I was just sitting here. I said, okay, it's Friday. I'm going to talk about faith. We're going to call this Faith Friday. And even with the YouTube channel, with the memberships you want to join, because these sessions that I'm doing, as I said, I now have the capability to do these lives, but I can actually bring you on camera with me. So at the membership level, we'll be able to do that in those comments that you have. You know, I wear glasses. Sometimes I don't see the comments. So it'd be great to have you on screen where you talk and share and interact, because I want this to be a family. But I just wanted to share what I was feeling about faith. Again, like I said, when things happen that are just unforeseen, that you have not planned for, and you don't know what to do, you do know what to do. Trust God and have that faith. And once you can furnish the faith, I say this all the time. People say that God opens doors. Yes, he does. But as far as I'm concerned, God creates doors that were not there. And if the door is not there, he just transports me. I don't need no door. He just puts me where I need to be. And the word speaks of your gift, making room for you and bringing you before great men. And I always teach about abundant life, and you will hear me talk about that more and more, because so many of my spiritual brothers and sisters are suffering with poverty and sickness and one problem after another problem. And for some reason, somebody's told us that humility means that you just got to suffer. It's a pressing way, it's a suffering way. And there is some level of suffering and persecution and trials and tribulations that go with Christianity. However, there is also peace and love and joy and triumph. We are victorious through our faith in God. And I don't even know how to say this. When you're talking to somebody who doesn't have faith, it's like you just want to grab them and put it down in them. But it's something that you just have to do. And once you flick it on, your life changes immediately. You will have the ability to stand in the face of an impossible situation and be just as calm. Like, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I remember when I did work for another company before I started my own company. One girl came to me and she goes, what is it about you? Why don't you ever freak out? No matter what happens, you always calm. I'm like, because God has brought me through so much until I know that he's going to carry me through. And there's no doubt about it. And I thought, right, I had the faith and I was doing it when I was doing all of those backup plans. And think about that. My backup plan, how am I, who am I to second guess God? Think about this. I asked God for something. Lord, I want you to give me this. And then and give a backup plan in case God doesn't come through for me. That's what I was doing. And I would find myself always having to settle. That's when God showed me, because you're not trusting. You're giving me stuff and you're taking it back. And when you give it to God and take it back, God is not going to move. Faith moves God. And to the extent he'll let us get by, he'll let us have the work in faith. That I just wanted to share. And I even have this thing coming up with Design Your Decade. You know, take the limits off and live. We cannot limit God to our faith. I mean, we cannot limit God to what we know. Think about this. And I used to talk to my mom. I talk about it all the time because that's just my rock. And I would tell her, and she would say something. I'm like, Mom, I didn't know that. And she would say, Girl, it's enough you don't know to make a new world. Okay, if it's enough I don't know to make a new world, think about how that applies to God. Ain't no way to do it. I don't see no way to do it just because you don't see it, right? You don't see a way to do it. How does the Bible illustrate faith? You don't see a way to do it. Faith is what? The substance of things hope and the what? Evidence of things not seen. So, so what if you don't see a way to do it? That doesn't mean it can't be done. So what if you don't know how you're going to get through it? You're not supposed to know. God didn't tell us. God didn't tell us to make anything happen. He told us to obey him and to trust him, have faith in him, and believe in him. And that's just something I wanted to share again. This was something I struggled with for a lot of years, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't getting what I was wanting. You know, I'm doing right. I'm helping people. I'm doing stuff. I'm looking at everybody past me. You know, past what happened to past me, not oh gentle Savior. All of those things, and God just revealed to me, let it go. Take your hands off him, let go and let God and have faith and trust him. And that's all I have for Faith Friday. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you for your continued support. You're always there. I love you guys, but come on. First of all, make sure you're subscribed, but also join the channel because I've been seeing names pop up now for 2 years. I want to see your face. I want to hear your voice, and I want to know. I want you to share with me the two-way communication. But tonight is all about Faith Friday.